Nice, I like it. Thank you very much, Alex. Yes, indeed. INTZ, we had the pleasure of casting these guys quite a few times, Vendetta, but we haven't had the privilege of casting Sharks. So I'm very curious. Hugo and Harry were really singing their praises to us in the green room, and now it's time to see what they can do on the CT side.
Yeah, I'm just excited to see an old head in the server, and Knack. So very storied players, for who don't know, was a part of the golden generation, really, of MIBR back in the day, together with FNX and Kogu and the likes. Yellow's going to be the one to find an opening here on the side of INTZ.
Yeah, very aggressive by JNT. He's going to be giving away a USP and the first kill of the round, leaving RCF by himself on B site. Not going to be thanking his teammate for that one. Bomb's still at spawn, though, Ven, so I don't think we're going to have any shenanigans on B just yet. RCF maybe pushing into his demise, though. Slightly moving on a position, Cello. I think cost him that kill.
Cello not diving deep, though. Doesn't want to necessarily risk everything as they set up for the A-take here. The remaining players, Knack still heading out or posted up over by Ticket Booth. Not going to land a kill just yet. It's also backed up by Leo.
Oh, Leo, you've got to land this kill. You've got to land the kill. He's whiffed so hard. Does get it on the last bullet, but he could have really accelerated the retake for Sharks. How do you have landed that cleanly? RCF, no whiff about that. Insta headshot onto KNG. Zand at the top of Palace going to be falling very much the same way. RCF is lining it up with the USP, but he's all alone. Needs 2 more frags. 20 seconds. He could just stall this out into a very scary position for INTZ, but Destiny is going to give them the first round.
There we go. And the shouting's back. For those who haven't been able to catch the earlier games of INTZ, they're a very vocal team, to say the very least, led by Coach Apoka.
Yeah, he had some memes about him because of how passionate and into the game he gets. He's the most passionate out of the 5 of them.
Yeah, no, definitely
the 6
is.
of them, pardon me.
I mean, he kind of has the luxury of not necessarily trying to remain calm or in focus in that sense, or as much as the players do, obviously, so he can release his emotions a little bit more freely. But no, it's great to see, and you love to see people having passion for the game as well. He's definitely not short of that.
No, certainly not. And neither are any of the Brazilian teams, to be honest. They have typically been the loudest. I think Singularity may have them beat.
Yeah,
you could hear some interesting things from
had them beat. Shouting, not so much in
not
the server.
Yeah,
Sharks managed to topple them yesterday 2-1.
We're hearing some pretty colorful things yesterday from the Singularity boys.
Yeah.
It was
I'll be honest,
cool.
though, I kind of miss those days.
I do too.
Obviously, now you have the teams playing in the same room, you know, kind of across each other, so you're able to throw a couple of words back and forth with each other. I just think it just adds to the competition, and I mean it's part of the game as well, right? They just being able to handle, you know, an absolute wild man on the other side of the room, just throwing words at you. I think that's something that players kind of need to be able to deal with as well. You know, you need to be able to brush it off and kind of laugh at it, you know, not get affected by it. If somebody keeps calling you, you know, trash or something like that, and you keep dying to them, then maybe it sticks. Maybe it actually gets into your mentality, and you drop a little bit in confidence, and that actually gives the opponent an edge.
It certainly adds to the atmosphere. And going back a long time when I was playing, not CS, but COD, you'd be directly opposite of people, and there'd be some hands thrown. I'm not going to lie. It didn't just stay verbal. Sometimes it got physical. I'm not advocating for that, obviously, but here we go anyway. INTZ and Sharks going to be kicking it off into the second round after a brief pause, and Sharks have decided to invest absolutely nothing at full USPs.
So it should be a rather straightforward round for INTZ at the very least. Knack's going to run into his death as he avoids the Molotov. Sees if he can find Zand unawares, but not the case. And again, bomb site 8 being taken by the T side.
This is a bit of an awkward position for Zand with a MAC-10. That kind of range, you're not expecting to get any kills, but does find some information. Nade goes out, does considerable damage to RCF and exit. With the bomb plant on top of it, this round is gone. It's done. INTZ going to be taking a 2-0 lead. Question is, can they get any more kills? And no, KNG just smattering down with the Galil. This is where the extra 5 bullets over the AK actually come in handy.
Yeah, does pan out. I'm actually not, I think the Galil is I guess, somewhat underrated. Obviously, it's kind of hard to live up to its big brother in the AK, but if I had to choose between a Galil and FAMAS, I'll go with the Galil any day of the week. So far, so good for INTZ. And keep in mind, these two teams played each other in the Americas minor for South America leading up to this. And Sharks actually got the better of them in that best-of-3 series, winning 2-0. But I feel like we've seen a different INTZ. Again, we talked about it the first time we got to see them on day one, the fact that they haven't really had the results that you'd imagine a team with these players on it would have. But being able to topple Furia, again, they've definitely been playing a lot better Counter-Strike in this tournament than we've seen for quite some time, especially KNG obviously coming back into the limelight. Yeah,
I mean, speaking of KNG, it was this map where he landed his crazy highlight reel-worthy stuff with the AWP.
Yeah.
Earlier in this very tournament, so we know he has it up his sleeve. We know he can perform and he can dip in. Cello has had a couple of very big maps too. JNT tries to hold off the onslaught, but can only get the one. Although the CTs are putting themselves back into proximity. Have been swept away from KNG with his AK-47. He's down to just 16 health. This is possible for Leo.
Yeah, especially because Zand has not been, well, I was about to say hasn't been able to pick up a weapon, but there he goes. Swaps out the MAC-10 for an M4. That makes it considerably harder for Leo. Does have another Molotov to his name as well. Throw that into apps. Going to find KNG. Oh, so close, just millimeters away from finding that kill. Zand, though, takes the opportunity to wide swing and finds a third round on the board for INTZ. So great start for KNG's team. Yeah, you mentioned Cello. He's had some really, really solid performances here so far, especially with entry fragging. I mean, last time we saw them play Mirage, he was vital for INTZ to actually be able to close it out, because one thing they've had an issue with is actually getting off to hot starts. They've oftentimes been reeling behind, whether it's 12-7, 13-6, and so on. They've always had to fight back, and I mean, to their credit, they've been able to do it more often than not, but a lot of the time it's been off of the back of Cello's entry fragging.
Yeah, I think it was Train where he landed 26 kills, but he had something like 8 or 9 entry frags. And that was the game that really, I mean, I already knew he was a damn good player, but that was really what turned my head and thought, okay, INTZ, they can go pretty far in this tournament. If not, they can maybe even qualify.
Absolutely, because keep in mind, when Cello was brought into the old Luminosity lineup, he was touted as, you know, the new hot Brazilian talent that everyone needed to keep their eye on out. And it didn't really pan out for him. He didn't really find his groove in that lineup and didn't really live up to the expectations. But so far in this minors, he's been doing really well for himself. Right now sitting at 4-1 as well. I think he spotted Leo actually dropping off there. Saw his shoulder, not going to continue on with it though. INTZ are just hanging out. Might actually be a bit of a pause hanging out, coming out considering...
technical issue.
Yeah.
You see a couple of players just standing around with knives. At that point, it was pretty apparent what's happening. We did see like a small pause earlier after the first round, and I was wondering if that would be a reoccurring theme. It seems as though one of the INTZ PCs has had a bit of an issue, a malfunction perhaps.
Bit of a snafu. I think it's Sand's PC that's not cooperating with him.
Yeah.
It is the same player, obviously, then as it's the first time around. So I guess that's an upside. It's not just like issues all around the board. Hopefully, nothing too serious.
Well, he's still on the server, at least you can see from his PC, so that's good news. Maybe a bit of a sound issue. It does seem to be the most common problem at LANs.
It's a classic, whether it's TeamSpeak or headsets, microphones, you name it. I might have to do some relogging here. See what it pans out to. But at least the technical issues didn't prevent him from actually closing out that round. Putting INTZ off to a great start for the first time in quite a while, really, in this major. They've always had to battle back.
Yeah, a team that's very good, though, at coming back into games from behind. You know, they saw it a couple of times when they had 5 or 6 round deficit, and they managed to just bulldoze their way back in.
Yeah, there is something to be said for that Braziliancy, right?
Yeah.
MIVR, or I guess then SK/Luminosity, were the one to coin that term. Or had that coin term to them.
Was it yesterday where Sharks played Singularity on the B stream?
Yes, that's when we heard all the shouting.
Yeah, I was about to say, because the amount of shouting between the two teams, it was like, it really spurred on Sharks.
Yeah, I mean, it's also, you know, you always talk about this with emotional players, right? What it does for you in terms of getting hype when you're winning rounds, which is great. But the downside of it, obviously, when you have to take a couple of losses, put a couple of punches to the face, how you go completely silent. And we see that happening, actually, with a fair few teams. Some people not able to deal with it as well as others. But hopefully Sharks are going to be okay. They managed to withstand the shouting match versus Singularity to get them to this point. And I think all we're waiting for right now is a bit of a reboot of the PC.
Yep, apparently it's going to take just about a minute.
Yeah.
So it should be back into the game very shortly to see if Sharks can bounce back after that 3-0. Of course, you assume that the round is going to be restarted. We're going to be back at the 3-0 scoreline again.
It's going to be, another eco for Sharks. So most likely looking at a 4-0 score. Will be cool to see. And again, one of the things that for those who've kept an eye on Brazilian CS is the kind of makeup of the teams, how they actually structure them. And you'll see in a lot of different regions that, you know, the older guard of certain countries just, when they retire, they disappear from Counter-Strike completely. They don't really pass on that knowledge to everyone else. They leave it as it is and kind of just hang up the mouse and don't come back. That's not the case for a lot of these Brazilian sides. You have, obviously, Team 1 with Bit in it, and Sharks here with Knack on the board. They also have Chucky, like all of these ex-MIBR players or Fire Gamer players who were really like competing at the highest international level back in 1.6, playing with basically the youth, the new generation of Counter-Strike players from Brazil, to pass on that knowledge, which I think is really, really cool. And I wish that was the case in more regions.
Oh, yeah, I suppose you have Taz doing that for Poland at the moment.
Yeah, that is very true. And who knows, maybe Pasha comes back as well. There's some rumblings about that. But definitely cool to see them passing on all the experience that they've gained over the years. Because Knack, I mean, he's been going at it since way back when. So it's definitely a valuable player to have on your side to kind of teach these players how to become professionals and also play Counter-Strike the most efficient way possible.
In terms of this matchup, we are back live again. Pistols for Sharks. Minimal investment, really, considering that they have some round loss bonus starting to accrue. And, of course, they're going to have rifles going through into the next one. But can INTZ avoid another half-buy disaster? We've seen many of them at the minors thus far.
Oh, and actually, yeah, that heavy lean towards A is going to fade away at just the wrong time. INTZ make their way towards A once more. It's only JNT, and he's going to get caught out very early on. So no real resistance being met here for INTZ. They're going to get a bomb plant down pretty easily. Also looking to make some extra cash here with that MAC-10 on Zan. Doing a pretty damn good job of it. Knack's going to get a return at the very least. So no more hefty money building. That's going to continue for INTZ.
Yeah, it's a consolation kill. Leo wants to save his Kevlar more so than the P250. He's going to upgrade that going into the next round. Well, not necessarily upgrade it, but he's going to have a better weapon to play with at the very least.
Yep. Cheeky Kevlar for an easy upgrade. All that good stuff. Then we can kind of get the game rolling. Obviously, these first couple of rounds become a bit of a formality once the force buy doesn't pan out, or the first buy round for that matter. Let's see, though, what kind of defense Sharks can actually set up. I do like the fact that they're still waiting for the bomb to explode before they start celebrating, as if there was any doubt.
Yeah, don't take your eyes off the prize. Don't assume anything in this game.
It's very true. We've seen some couple of crazy turnarounds, yeah. I mean, just going back to the previous nuke game between Fury and Energy, there was so much back and forth there. You had a 1v4 from Ethan that nearly panned out and all that stuff, and rounds that I guess might be a given to most can definitely swing back.
All right, well, here we go, though. The reason for the half-buy up for JNT, everyone else with M4s. Interestingly, no one opting to go for the AUG. We have seen many teams still go with the scope weapon. And no SGs on INTZ.
Want to hold on to the weapons that they managed to keep during the initial buys. I've definitely seen some of the players here pick up SGs across the earlier games. But for now, it's a bit of a static setup. They've managed to get Destiny far up in connector. I think that can either work as a quick lurk or a potential pressure point. Instead, it's going to get taken down. That's a nice flash from Knack to set up exit. Drunky's also going to down KNG over on Catwalk, so numbers thinning pretty rapidly here for INTZ.
They're eroding away, but Cello is going to start to bounce back before he is found by RCF. A close angle on bench. INTZ got Yell with an AWP. 45 seconds, though. If he's thinking about potentially saving this, he's at least going to post himself in a position where he can do some damage on his way out. After all, his team are 4-0 to the good. So they've had a fantastic start to things. A side is pretty barren, though. You really only have Exit is watching from jungle. So if Yell can rummage your way through...
I don't think even Exit's... Yeah, Exit's outside of CPL, so A side is completely open, actually.
Oh, I thought it was jungle. That's even worse.
Yeah, this is a bit of a oopsie.
Yeah, Yell's going to get a plant.
Do they think they have the bomb?
I mean, if Yell can get a plant and reposition with his AWP, this round is actually still open. Sure, it's not likely, but considering it was a 4v1, you just assume it's done. You assume it's a closed deal. Yell's going to get the first onto Nak, who peaks prematurely. The rest of his team now going to be starting to rummage together, but they're all coming from the same side. They're all coming from CT. That Molotov isn't going to deter Yell too much out into the opening. He'll go. He lands a second. But when you consider it was a 4v1, he's got 2 kills and a bomb plant. That is a huge result for INTZ.
Absolutely. Headset magic number of 3 deaths on the CT side. That's going to definitely impact their economy, as they're going to have to reinvest. Somebody's going to have to take a bit of a hit there. I mean, yeah, sure, you can be happy about winning the round if you're Sharks. You're finally on the board, but that was not as clean as it should have been. And yeah, the 3 players over towards the B bomb side, no control over your bomb. That seemed a little bit weird.
You've got to question the communication or the idea there. Did they assume maybe the bomb was dropped on B? That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, exactly. I think they would have had to assume that Leo's initial kill on KNG or something dropped the bomb in a position where they thought it had it secured, but not to be the case. So INTZ get pretty much maximum value out of what was a guaranteed loss in that round.
And you can see what it does to Sharks' funds as well.
Yeah.
Only Donkey? Nope, that's Drunky. Leo Drunky is on over $1,000.
Yeah, they're also running out of utility rather quickly. They have 3 smokes and a Molotov with 1 minute 20 left to go. So obviously, one thing is holding off an initial push and execute from INTZ, but also being able to set up for a potential retake is going to be that much harder. See what they can come up with, though. This time they do have players on A, so that's a start. Speaking of Yell as well, as we saw attempting to clutch out that previous round, he had a really, really strong Mirage performance last time around we saw him. And he can be very hit or miss. He's kind of reformed himself from being a primary AWPer into becoming a rifler. Obviously, that kind of makes sense when you have KNG in your team.
Did see the Molotov toss down, so he knows this isn't a fake. They're actually going to be engaging behind this. There's not much you can do about it, though. His teammates are being plucked out on the side. There's 30 seconds left, more than enough time for the bomb plant. RCF was flirting with the idea of wall banging the planter down, but it's not going to happen. And now Leo, in the embracing arms of Zand, has been shuffled off round 6. It's only Exit, and he's going to look to save. And this is where that previous round with Yell taking down 2 players and getting the bomb plant will hurt Sharks a great deal. They just don't have money.
Absolutely. I actually thought that RCF saw the foot of the bomb plant there on the T side behind fireboxes, but didn't react accordingly. So INTZ get a 5th round on the board. Nice and easy going for them so far. Not looking to end up far behind to start us off, getting off to a strong start. While it's nice to have resiliency, you do like to have efficiency too. So being able to close this out as quickly as possible. It is their map pick after all. It's definitely going to do a lot for your confidence going into Nuke as the second map. See the updated odds from GD.bet. Favoring INTZ here. I don't think that can be like a big surprise, really, to anyone.
I think most people coming into this game, I certainly was favoring INTZ to win this game after we saw how close they took and even beat some of the more favored teams earlier on in the
started off the tournament sending Furia down into into the lower bracket. And that's why we saw that matchup between Furia and Energy just now. So yeah, the top level of these players definitely high. definitely there to match their fellow countrymen. We'll see how long they can keep it up, though. 5-1 so far, so doing good for themselves. And Sharks a little bit worse for wear. They're still going to buy up something into this. Knack with a UMP, and obviously have the saved weapon on exit.
I can respect that they didn't fully push the panic button, though, and go for a force spy, because that really could have ruined this off.
Absolutely. INTZ right now. I kind of like that idea. I mean, with, okay, bit of a botched Molotov, but for how much success they found in the A bomb site, they're just kind of sticking to the idea of, well, it's working, so there's no real reason for us to change things up too drastically. Again, cover your bases. Make sure you're not getting backstabbed, that there's just any funky aggression coming out from the side of the CTs to catch you off. But go back to what's been working in the past and basically force the CT side to actually do something to you.
Well, JNT may go for an aggressive retaliation after the Molotov starts to burn his toes off, but he decides to drop down instead. Grenade lands buy-in. Doesn't really do any damage, though. He's 66. Still more than enough HP to deal a fatal blow with that P250. Time is dwindling away. Still 3/4 of a minute to play with. Now, Knack is holding on. INTZ are going to need to get a move on. They are moving through connector.
Yeah, and it's completely exposed as well. KNG, well, gets 2 for 1. Fortunately, one of them is his teammate, but still, favorable trades all around there. So A-Site once again in the control of INTZ. If you got to kickstart something, you know, got to do what it takes, and KNG willing to sacrifice Yell in that one. Leo's going to find one response, though, and Exit actually finds a pushing Destiny. Really wanted to get map control. He wanted to wrap around CT spawn. That's not going to be working out for him. They still have decent afterplant position here, and it is an open plant as well. No smokes on the side of Sharks either.
With Zand being low HP, this round really should be going the way of Sharks. Xander's got one. Can he stop the defuse? It's not looking good. Comes back out again. And Sharks going to get the defuse. They're letting them know about it too, screaming at INTZ, saying we're still in this game.
Those definitely are, and that was a round that they didn't really have too much of a business picking up as well. You could see that their defense was not set up to deal with what was thrown at them. Again, connector control being completely given up for them. Just a very solid job to handle the retake in a proper fashion. That's it, with multiple kills there to bring them back into it. And that's it's quite the gift to be given, and that's going to allow them to go directly into a double op setup as well. JNT, RCF. They're just going to make it work right off the bat as well. Opening frag in favor of Sharks. Already more pressure put on them, or on the side of INTZ than they've met previously. They've been able to rummage around the map pretty freely for the better part of this so far.
There's a world of good to Sharks as well, because now they can back away. INTZ, the pressure is mounting. It is stacking. They have KNG still with the AWP, however. There's a big power play, a big part of the puzzle that still is in their possession.
And you say back away, and they went really, really passive on the side of Sharks, just completely giving up mid control, not even interested in contesting it. But RCF with the forward position in B-apps is going to find Cello appearing up from the underpass stairs. 2-man advantage, and nothing really gained from INTZ. Right now, all you have is KNG rummaging around in mid. Nobody's really opening up and giving it a potential to find an op duel.
Smoke has been deployed though, Ven, just outside of the apps. It's going to stop Zand and Yell from pushing through just yet. In actual fact, they're going to be taking the fight to them. Smoke's going to deploy, but Leo Drunky stands up and delivers one. KNG, though, is putting them back into this round, putting them back into the possibility of maybe getting a 6-2 lead. JNT.
I think he was spotted jumping past by KNG there. KNG's going to hold the window, wins out the duel as well. Why not? Get a leg shot in there as well. Yell's been taken down, though, so it's all on KNG.
Oh, KNG with another one. He's already got 3 in this round. Can't quite get a 4th on the first time of asking. X around the corner, and there's the no-scope. And wouldn't you know it, KNG stands up, screams directly at them. What a round from the man. That is unbelievable.
And that's off the back of a two-man deficit as well. Just being able to willpower his team through to a victory in that one. And for all the Screaming Sharks were doing in the last round, they have to feel a little bit deflated after that. Both ops getting into play early on. Leo actually finding a frag here as well. Just dire straits for INTZ at a certain point, but then KNG works his magic. I kind of dig the fact that, you know, the shot he throws off there, I think that's to basically have Exit just instantly react, right? Just like have him go off, try to think that, oh, like, you know, he's actually pressuring me from an angle. I need to kind of readjust whatever I'm doing.
The whole purpose of that shot, I feel, is to try and dictate the pace, take control of the clutch. Because up until that point, he's playing on the back foot. By doing that, it allows him to now reposition to change the dynamic of how it's going. It's really cool.
I mean, Exit keeps thinking that KNG is widely re-peeking from angles that he's not aware of, right? Which makes you uncertain of how you're going to actually approach the situation. KNG, accurate as ever. Hasn't dropped the ball at all. INTZ back towards A we go. It's working pretty nicely for them so far, and they're going up against a bit of a mishmash by MP9 on JNT and very little utility just in general, but it's going to make the most out of it. Knack follows up with a kill too. So far, even trades.
INTZ, well, using your utility. What's going on here? You've got Molotovs and nades, like a bunch just dropped with those 2 kills. Now they're going to start to deploy them, but it was all raw. It was easy pickings for Knack.
Trying to catch him off guard, didn't really pan out. Still, trades going back and forth. Cello not being able to control his spray. Leaves KNG. Well, just clutch out once. This time he's on 12 HP, though. Might be a little bit of a tall order. And Leo from stairs is going to finish him off. And yeah, as you said.
I just don't understand it. Like, there's Molotovs you can toss to deal with Shadow. There's flashes you can deal with. And they just go out without using any of all these nades they've just purchased.
And normally you see that kind of a play being made when, again, you want to catch the defense off guard, obviously. That is the intent of it, but that's more of a desperation play, right? When you maybe just have 1 or 2 rifles, you force spot into it, you need them to get a bit of a drop on the opponents instead of telegraphing and execute. I think in this scenario where they find themselves there, there's no real justification for not throwing out your nades.
Yeah, it's like more of a desperation play like we're seeing right now. This makes more sense. As Molotov's down, the smoke, though, is not planted anywhere near quick enough. And so Cello pretty much burns from 100 to 0. That's stalled the push. That is a big hand in the face of INTZ, and they are just going to have to turn tail and try somewhere else.
Yeah. Didn't really help that Cello bungled up the first flash as well. That's meant to land just outside of the window. Stuck in a Molotov, and yeah, everything just kind of falls apart. So B-Rush out of the question now. They go back to A with the majority of their forces. But with pistols, that's going to be a tough ask of them to win out these duels. Also, 3 players on Sharks rotated over, so they've got a good idea as to what's about to hit them. If KNG is actually going to be the one to start off the pressure point towards B, or if he's just going to be the late lurk and them hoping to get down an open bomb plant or something to that effect. Actually, the bomb is rotating out of apps here.
And you can see that KNG at the moment is just outside of B apps. Okay, he's actually moving into ramp. I was curious if he was going to go all the way towards B.
Looked like that for a little bit, but KNG is going to be the one to start the pressure, seeing if he can draw any sort of a rotation. He drops down, that's going to be heard. It's probably not, well, he is going to expect the peak from, or the position from bench. No rotation has happened. Knack deals swiftly with the players coming from A-Pit. And that's another round on the board for Sharks. So getting back into it gradually.
Yeah, well played by Knack. You can see the domino effect it has. If he dies after that first kill, the second player that's aiming at Palace is probably aiming at ramp, and they could have got another kill in return. So Knack with that double kill was pretty huge. Molotov frag, as you could see there, as he dropped out of the app side. INTZ going to be pretty much naked in this round. Just P250s, 3 of them. Exit may be taking the fight to them, although Mid's not really being pressed just yet. Cello's going to be taking the brunt of that damage. It's such a low investment, though. Sharks not only need to get this round, but they need to get it convincingly. Build up that economy a little bit more. Batter down INTZ. That's more like it.
Battering down. Down they do. Destiny might be within a chance of finding one, but that's not to be the case, and Yell gets picked off on the A-bomb side. So no sneaky plant happening for INTZ either. Sharks right back into it.
Interestingly, certainly quieter than INTZ. INTZ are pretty much cheering and screaming after every single round, a bit subdued.
It seems like Sharks are kind of just, you know, biding their time in that sense. When they know they pick up a big round, we see a lot of screaming, but rounds they're meant to win, not exciting as much as we have a tactical pause from INTZ.
Things have stalled somewhat on the INTZ side. Gonna have to dip back into the tactics. You can see Apoca just talking to them at the back there, the coach. Gonna drill into the troops what's going to be coming up next. He always seems to be writing notes, and he's got a very intense look to him as well. So here we go. INTZ going to have a buy, including an SG. Make that 2, like a little and a couple of AKs. Plenty of grenades to execute on either side.
Oh, let's see, though, if they can stop the comeback here from Sharks. Already, though, 6 rounds on the T side. Not a bad feat by any means. Early days of Mirage.
I mean, you'd have to say that INTZ on their choice of map have certainly got off to a good start here, but the timeout called just to make sure that continues to be the case. They don't want to let this one slip away.
Yeah.
Leo Drunky, actually the only B defender.
Could be a pretty significant issue, especially when you look at how long the rotation times are here. Do have RCF in ladder room, but again, he has to swing around the corner as well to be able to help. He does actually get into position in time. KNG, though, is going to get the better of Leo, and smoke has gone down. Does find KNG through the smoke, so that is a bit of a chance. Bomb should still go down, though.
Yeah, the issue for RCF is he got smoked out, so even though he was there, he couldn't really lend a helping hand. He was basically blinded. JNT will be coming through. A bunch of smokes are being deployed on both teams, but it's going the way of INTZ. The magic of the timeout once again going to be favoring them. Nak the only player to put any pressure on INTZ with a kill.
It might be too late, though. And again, Sharks, they, I guess, didn't go greedy necessarily, but then decide to up their weapons. You can see JNT still working that FAMAS with 6.3k. So they're still going to be able to buy up in for the next round. Just looking to do as much damage as possible, and they do a pretty damn good job of it as well. Yell being the sole survivor when the round comes to a close, but still another round for INTZ. That's 7th on the board.
Yeah, converting the opportunities that they were given. Well, not really necessarily given, actually. They created. They did a good job of getting outside of apps as fast as possible. It got a bit hairy towards the end with a couple of very nice shots from the likes of Nak, who's been performing well. And they're going to go back to the double up setup, Sharks. RCF with the secondary up. Funneling their way over on the A side. It's just Jan who is in the Palace. Nak again gets the first kill. Molotov down. This time they're using their utility. They've learned from their previous mistakes. Flashes are hitting both terrorists and CTs alike.
This time, much more favorable trades when they actually use their utility. So Leo not giving up the fight, and RCF is going to join in too. All of a sudden, this is swung back into the favor of Sharks, and just in a matter of seconds, the 2 remaining players handle what's given to them. 6 rounds on the board. Leo and RCF. We're the players to look out for, according to the desk, and definitely proving to be right.
KNG, though, is still finding kills left and right. Galil, AWP doesn't matter. This T side is now starting to get pretty tasty, but they are back into pistols. Sharks in the meanwhile, though, have an MP9 on RCF, who is using it in the B-apps. He's in a duel to the death with Cello. Going to get the upper hand and look to dart away. It didn't actually take any damage, which is going to be a little bit of a nightmare. Of course, aim punch was a problem.
Max staying alive over at Firebox. Doing his damnedest. Down to 2 HP. Needs some help now. Leo's on the way. Finds Destiny. Yell desperately trying to get a connection here with the Deagle. Not going to pan out. There you have it, 7-7. Sharks fighting back here after a very hot start from INTZ.
7 rounds, though, still, of course, a pretty solid foundation for INTZ to play off. And with the pistols, they're going to have a healthy assortment of rifles and grenades once again. Double up setup, RCF on 15 frags. And he is going to be moving with the AWP towards the B side of the map. JNT actually faking as if he's trying to play in connector. Instead, he's going to be pushing straight up, taking the fight to the terrorists. And he's going to find one, but doesn't land the shot and gets punished with it with his life. Destiny looking to try and get INTZ in the lead going through to the second half.
Yo's taking matters into his own hands, creeping forward. He might run into Cello and Yell here. Crouching past. Oh, and he's going to get pincered here, but he might be able to get a frag or two. Oh, look at that. Oh, God. He tried to go for the big cojones plays, but doesn't really pan out. Cello's going to find him. That leaves RCF as the sole defender over on B. He needs to find multiple kills here to keep them in this.
Oh, he unscopes at the worst possible moment. Misses his chance. And now Nak and exit. Of course, they're going to go for this. It's the last round of the half. 2 M4s. Nades across the 2 of them. And kits, but exit's been found and dealt with. Nak down to 16, being tagged up. I think he was getting hit through the wooden panel at first. It really confused him. And 8-7 is going to be the score to INTZ on their choice of map at halftime.
Yeah, winning out the T-side half, not a bad feat at all. Especially with the strong comeback. And that comeback being put up by Sharks there. Just fairly unlucky from Leo's side there. But nonetheless, we're going to be getting into the second half rather shortly. But first, about a minute and a half for commercials, and then we'll be right back.
Our second best of 3 from the Americas minor features Furia and Sharks. Sorry, not Furia, pardon me, it's INTZ.
There you go.
We just casted Furia beforehand. It is on Mirage, it's their choice of map INTZ, and they lead 8-7 as they move across the CT side. And this, you have to feel bad for Leo Drunky, because he was looking to try and get as many kills as possible, and look at the reaction there. Yeah. It's like he thinks, okay, the 2 players to my left side aren't going to turn around. They're both looking down. Why would they turn?
They're just going to keep backing up, you know.
Exactly. So then suddenly Cello spins around and shoots him, and he's like, sorry.
What have you done that for?
Yeah, why would you do that?
And to be fair, it's a big play to go for. I guess you could always make the argument that he more or less would have had guaranteed 2 kills for himself. That would have been something to play off of. But again, I can understand why he wants to hold off and,
absolutely,
go for the big one. But again, you can pretty much win out the round single-handedly if that pans out for you. Now, though, quick tempo towards the B bomb site here. And yeah, Zan's not going to commit to the balcony peek. Zan drops down, teams up with Yell to find 2 kills.
Yell's looking for more. Drop bomb's been dropped, and he's just landing nothing but headshots. KNG takes it away from him. Second pistol's gone their way.
There you go. And the shouting is back at it again. Hot start for INTZ on both halves here. Obviously, they could still turn. We've yet to see if Sharks are going to be able to rebuy or if they want to rebuy into this. For now, though, conservative approach on their end. INTZ looking to extend their lead just a little bit further here. Two FAMASes, an AUG, MP9, and UMP. That's what they have to deal with. But going up against just Glocks, they should be perfectly fine. Also, pretty telling of what Shark intends to do in that third round.
It certainly is a declaration. This is a throwaway round. This is pretty much a gimme for INTZ. They're going to be looking to run boost across. It's a bit of a failure, I think it's safe to say. And they're going to punish Sharks for that one, KNG in particular, with his AUG. To be fair, even if they did do a run boost across, they have nothing to really play off at range. Glocks are not going to do anything against Kevlar.
Just adds to the amusement of the viewers at home.
Yeah, play that round back and put some Benny Hill music, some clown music in the background. Really slick play from Yell here, though. Those are beautiful USP headshots.
Nothing clowny about that. There we go, though. Now the real fun begins, though. Sharks obviously was taking a clean eco, showing their intent of buying up here, and they're going to do just that. 2 Kriegs up into play, 3 AKs. So no op in the hands of JNT or RCF. Still enough to work with. KNG definitely gets caught out early on. And he's actually going to be able to find the first kill, though, but again, swiftly returned.
It's not a bad start for the Sharks, and they just got a whole lot better. JNT at range with the SG takes down Destiny. And Cello, I'm not sure about that peak with the UMPs, decided to pick up the SG instead, or the FAMAS, pardon me, which is certainly the correct call.
A little bit better for the range required, but still advantage with the Sharks. And yeah, a lot of focus on fighting for mid initially there from both sides. Don't want to give it up. But now, gamble stack coming in from INTZ. I kind of dig this. Being very assertive about what they want to do. They realize that if they spread themselves too thin, likelihood of winning around with what they currently have, what they possess. Obviously, not too much utility to set up for a retake. They have to go for something. And this might be the completely correct read as well. Sharks, they won out mid, but kind of forwent the entire map control part of this, so they might be running into the stack. This could be their demise.
It really should be their demise, considering the positions, but with Cello going down first, Zan now has a huge task ahead of him. He's going to get the drop onto JNT. More players scurrying out of Palace. Too much to contend with. Knack versus Yell. FAMAS against AK. The time is against Sharks. But Yell has just taken a battering at CT boxes. He has to move away. Going to be a fake plant just to see if Yell wants to go for a re-peek and now the full plant. Enough time for Knack to pick up the slack. Back up again, but Yell insta headshot with the FAMAS. APOC is having a hell of a time dancing around.
You can tell how much it means to them, and that's around, yeah, the gamble stack being such a big, what a contention there for them, and it actually works out. Largely in part to Yell's fantastic display with the FAMAS there. Some right up to 11. Yeah, that's,
Mate,
that's a big one.
We need a highlight reel of all
just
the reactions, man.
Absolutely. Right now, there's no doubt that the temperature, the atmosphere at the minor definitely is a bit different here with the South American flare compared to the European minor, for example. A little bit louder here.
I love it, man.
Yeah,
absolutely. Love it.
You don't get too much, chances to witness the display of emotion from teams. Obviously, all the Tier 1 tournaments, usually they're sat in booths or pretty far removed. You don't really have the mics being able to pick up all the shouting and yelling.
Unfortunately, I think some people kind of frown upon it to a degree.
Which is wild to me.
Which I just can't understand it,
It's a competitive environment. And, I mean, for anyone who thinks, the experts that you get, or like the small tidbits, the sound clips you get from, let's say, an NFL game or an NBA match, like, is actually the only things that are being said. If everyone's just going, let's go, then you're definitely off.
You're a long, long way off.
Yeah. It's part of being a competitive human being, and these guys definitely have that fire in them.
I mean, the amount of practice, time, effort that goes into being in a position like this. You've given your lives away for CS. Of course it's going to mean a huge amount. Destiny, headshot onto Leo. Going to carve open the potential chance. They're not going to be able to stop the bomb plant, so Sharks at least going to have that ticked off in the box.
INTZ seeming to want this to play this as safe as possible, not risking anything by diving into bomb site. So far, seems to be the smart decision as well. Cello does some damage onto Exit. 2v4. Well, it's just a matter of time before Exit goes down here and meets the Smaker. There we have it. KNG. Another round on the board. More and more going the way for INTZ, and keep in mind this is their map pick, so kind of just playing itself out the way we would have expected, but Sharks definitely shown that they're capable of possessing some of that resiliency, as we've talked about INTZ having as well, fighting back in the first half. Still room to do so here on the T side as well.
I think it will be more of a concern for them, though, that they haven't really been striking too often or too hot on their T half. First half was close, but this is starting to get into very dangerous territory. They do have another bye, but you have to feel here, Ven, that they have to make this one work.
Definitely need to get something out of this. Luckily for them, though, money on the side of INTZ isn't exactly that great. You have KNG sitting at a lot of money, but the rest of them have been forced to spend a fair bit of cash. So there's room for opportunities here. 2 rounds in the way of Sharks could quickly spring into a bit of a run for them. JNT makes his presence known with the op over towards Apps. He's really going to come out of it. So far, again, Sharks happy to forgo map control. Cost them dearly on that A push. You would imagine that they actually eventually venture in towards mid, see what's lurking about, see if they can get any sort of information as to what kind of setup they might run into from the side of the INTZ.
Which is interesting, because INTZ against Furia, when we saw them play them, were very aggressive on their CT side as well, like constantly trying to get around the back of Furia. But here on Mirage, it's a whole different ball game. They're happy enough to just sit back and absorb and soak up the pressure. They've still got loads of nades left with just under 40 seconds. 2 incendiaries, they've got a couple smokes, plenty of flashbangs, but what they don't have is Destiny. He's been found by Leo and dealt with accordingly. Yell is going to return fire. Jand proving to be the scourge of the terrorists. They look to push onto the B site once again. Yell's going to get a crossfire established with him. Bombs dropped in the smoke. And Exit JNT are going to give them a second breath. A second gust of wind, but yeah, time is an issue. 10 seconds to go. Cello spot him on the cross. They need to pick up the bomb and get it planted. 7 seconds. Oh. KNG switches too soon, and he's going to get punished with JNT's AWP. What a moment to make that complete faux pas.
Oof, definitely not ideal. INTZ were looking so strong there, finding every pickoff they needed initially. Even having 3 players over towards the B bomb site. So while Leo gets the initial frag in ladder room, he's thinking to himself that he's going into a solo man defense. It's not the case. Still, though, they still have some ways to go. We saw the odds provided by GD.bet, heavily favoring INTZ, but at this stage, he should win it out. It's a 4v2 situation. With 20 seconds left on the clock.
20 seconds, they've got an AWP, having to go aggressive onto the site. Like everything you think, if you run that 100 times, 99 times that is going the way of the CTs.
Absolutely. And that's a brutal turn of events as well, because keep in mind, we talked about the economy of the INTZ team. It's not the greatest. KNG had a fair bit of bank, but the rest of them still a little bit in flux, and you can see it's going to be MP9s, FAMASs, lacking utility as well on their end. If Sharks are able to win this one out, very quickly looking at 10 rounds, and we've got a game on our hands.
Absolutely. And again, we said at 12-7, Sharks have got to buy. They've got to make this work. They've got to do something with it. They did. It looked as though INTZ may just cruise towards a 16-7, 16-8 scoreline. Instead, this is very much on the balance. Destiny peering across the palace, sees a couple of heads protruding over the wooden boxes. Has capitalized, but going to have to turn his attention elsewhere. Cello with the MP9. Can't strike twice. RCF has been smacked down to 16 health. That's going to be an issue as he's the bomb carrier, but he's now making a move through T-spawn. They are thinking about the potential B hit with Exit just ahead of him. And all the INTZ players are centralized. They're in the middle of the map. Neither A or B, so they haven't got a great deal of information or map control. They are hearing the smokes plume over on B, so it stands to reason it's going to be a B hit. Could also be a fake with this much time left. There's a lot of question marks and queries that they have to try and find the answers to themselves. KNG up through underpass. You can hear the footsteps going into B-Apps as the bomb is being planted by RCF. Just faking this out, see if he can get one of the CTs to move in. The barrel of the gun is going to stick out, and KNG gets plastered against the wall with that AWP. Yell and Zand, I don't think have any interest in going for this. Major set up for exit frags, as their economy is now in tatters, and these 2 assault rifles would be very valuable. Yeah, just putting the smoke down to make it a bit more difficult for JNT to push back out here, with a Molotov especially. So yeah, it's going to be 12-9, whichever way you spin it. JNT needs to be careful here.
Yeah. Still going to make it out, though. Zan deciding to back off and hold on to these weapons, but here we go. Sharks primed really to a situation where they get to double figures, and INTZ's economy is going to be unstable for quite some time. So they're pretty much relying on having multiple round wins in a row for them to not be on the knife's edge the entire time for the remainder of the game. It's a lot of pressure to have on your shoulders.
And that seems like that pressure is becoming too heavy a burden to handle for INTZ. They're letting rounds slip. It's starting to get alarming. That snowball is picking up pace down the mountain for Sharks. They do keep the 2 assault rifles, though, as we said. That's going to give them a fair bit of presence in round 22.
And Zan's trying to make the most out of it early on as well with the push up into mid. Can't find anyone. And again, Sharks have a very different way of setting up for their defaults than I guess most other teams do. They have very little coverage of mid. It's pretty much just Leo Drunky peering into mid if anyone were to just really, really hard commit. Outside of that, just leaving INTZ with a fair few options really to push aggressively. This might just go go back to B again. Sharks seemingly feel like they've found a bit of a weakness in the defensive INTZ. Yeah, right now, the sole defender as well. He does have an AK, but bit of a tall order to expect him to hold back 5 rushing T-side players.
Oh, Yell gets obliterated by RCF. He is going to start to plunder the B side. Just the one M4 in play. All of these pistols are expendable. They're going to be having a purchase next round, so Cello doesn't feel too bad about taking the risk. It hasn't paid off. This will be Sharks moving to 10 rounds, though. They're breathing down the necks now of INTZ.
And if they were to be able to steal away Mirage here going into Nuke, that's a tantalizing tale for the Sharks here. Potentially closing this out in 2-0. That could be a very real possibility at that stage. TZ, they need to find a footing here, and pretty quickly as well.
Perhaps a timeout, Ven?
Yeah, it definitely hasn't been as many timeouts here in this matchup as we saw between Fury and Energy. Not necessarily for the lack of things to talk about, but you know, just different approaches from the looks of it.
Well, it's not going to be the timeout. They're happy enough to just press forward. 2 Orgs have been adopted. Zand, who saved the M4, could drop one of them across to his teammates, so it gives them a healthier amount of grenades. That'll be KNG. It's not a bad buy, all things considered, but it's more the trajectory of how this map has been going that's going to be a concern on the CT side.
And again, just no mid control at all. Sharks are getting away with murder, really, with how they're setting up their T sides, but if you're allowed to do this, then why not? It's really on INTZ to be able to punish you, and back to B we go again.
This time, Yell is going to get the first kill, and it's on RCF, so he's made amends. He's got his revenge. Leo Drunky using the pillars of the B side to use has a bit of cover, but it's eventually going to run out of time. Exit's last player. This is much better from INTZ. It's taken them a while, but when they have struck, it's been pretty much a complete slap away from the site.
Yeah, a couple of bungled flashes actually there. I think first man to drop out a window gets team flash. He's not able to push forward, put more pressure around the pillars. just kind of snowballs out of control. So INTZ at least do make that stand that they needed to make early on. Not let Sharks get all the way back into the game, but again, it's still going to be a matter of INTZ not having a stabilized economy. Sharks can definitely bounce back off of this with a round win.
Oh, no doubt. Only 13-10 behind. I'm going to call a tactical timeout for that very reason, because this is still on the balancing scales. It could tip either direction.
Another buy-in, this time with an op on JNT. KNG has gotten his hands on one as well. Now then, if Sharks were to win this, we would be looking at INTZ either forced to, well, buy up with whatever they have in hopes of breaking the economy of Sharks right back, or actually opting for an eco. So the potential 2-for-1 is always going to be apparent here for the T side.
Yeah, I'd say that if Sharks sack either of these sites pretty easily, we'll just see INTZ tap out and save very early on. It's that kind of predicament that they find themselves in, but of course they've got to get to that stage first. They've got to get onto one of these sites. They do have the interference play of Exit, who's over on Palace. Rest of Sharks reside just outside of the B-apps. No significant damage to speak of, really, but JNT tries his hand a couple of times through the wooden panels and through smoke. A bit of a stalemate.
Yeah. Sharks, more often than not, just relying on their default setup to get them going here on this T side. Just don't want to run into any sort of aggression from INTZ to catch them off. Speaking of aggression, KNG's going to peer into Connector. He finds the first opening. That's knocked down. Bit of a spanner thrown into the works for Sharks here. To be left scrambling. They do have Leo up on catwalk here, though. Last time he went here, he was able to find an opening kill. Oh, the boost as well. Are they going to expect this? He's going to drop down. That makes noise, and they can actually get caught out. Back turned. Leo's going to find 2.
22 seconds, but no one is here to stop the push. This bomb will be planted on B once again. KNG having a quick peek towards the apps, but because it's gone down to a 3-on-3, they're not going to go for the save right away. They're going to have a look here if they can try and bounce back onto this side. If Sharks give them a pixel to execute off, if KNG can get this next kill, then INTZ are going to go all in.
They need to be quick about it, though. Like
exactly.
At this stage, I feel like they should already think about falling back.
Yeah, I think the original plan was see if we can get a pick, then we'll try and convert into a retake. They're actually going to go in for this one. This is so aggressive. This could backfire so horribly for this half.
And it has. It really, really has. KNG has not moved an inch, and he's going to fall back now. Is he even going to be able to stay alive with the op? Finds Leo. You just need to duck out as quickly as possible. Not get picked off by Exit. Well, Bomb's going to take care of that issue for you. But still, that's a round won by Sharks. They don't really care about the damage they take there towards the end. They're going to be able to buy up perfectly fine no matter what. Again, it's Leo on catwalk there. Finding the right time as Yell drops down from the boost. Back turned. Easy double kill.
Yeah, I'm just perplexed, amazed, bewildered that they actually went in for that retake that close to detonation. Like, I can't believe it. I thought they're going to look for KNG to get a kill. They can then push into the site. If he doesn't get one, okay, we save 3 guns. We can drop 2 more weapons, and we're good to go in the next round. Yep. As it stands, they only saved an AWP, and a few players are like $3,000 to $3,700.
And now it's a really awkward situation, right? Because do you buy out behind KNG's op? I think if there's any single player on the side of INTZ that you kind of follow behind to lead the charge, and that would be KNG, but you stand at the risk of losing out the entire map if you do. Or at least allowing Sharks to get up to map point. And this is your map pick. You're going into Nuke, which is not necessarily familiar territory for you, not as much as it is for Sharks. And I think that's what they're deliberating now during their tactical pause. Sharks, yet again, being able to fight back into this.
I mean, the decision they make right now, Vendetta, could very well cost them the map. That sounds like a bold statement to make, but if they do force and they concede it, they're in real trouble, and they've done just that. They're going to go for force, 2 MP9s.
FAMAS with no utility.
They've prioritized utility over the firepower of these 2 MP9s, but the AUG and the FAMAS, as you say, bolstering it up somewhat.
I mean, even prioritizing utility, you don't really have too much at that, really. Zand and Cello got 2 smokes, a nade and a flash.
That counter flash was perfectly timed. Zand with the MP9 at this range isn't going to do a great deal. And the Force Buy is not going to yield the round. If they can save, though, it's not the end of the world.
But you're saving a FAMAS and an MP9, though. Obviously, the KNG op is the prized possession here, but... Oh, no, this is rough times for INTZ. And there's no real reason for Sharks to hang back here. They should be running out on the map. They should realize by now that there's no reason for INTZ to even attempt a retake with how clean of a bomb site take they had. They should be running after the remaining CTs.
I think because Leo, Exit, and NAC don't have a huge amount of funds, and RCF just found an AUG, they're going to play this one a little bit more passively.
It's a little bit disappointing, honestly.
Yeah, because I think, again, it's risk versus reward, right? Like, INTZ, if they get a kill, it's not really that much of a big deal if it's like on RCF. But if we kill one of their players, now,
it just
now we're
utterly
talking.
destroys them. Imagine if you take out the op.
Yeah, exactly.
From KNG, right? Oh well, deciding to play it safe, and everything they've been doing here on the latter stages of the T-half has really panned out for them. So they might just be sticking to what's been working.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think there's a wrong answer there. I think it's just personal preference. Like, they want to play to their strengths, and they feel comfortable with having these superior weapons. And of course, they're light years ahead of INTZ in terms of their purchase in this round anyway.
The big thing here that INTZ really needs to address is this B bomb site defense. They've had one successful throughout this entire half, and that was off of a couple of bungled flashes from Sharks. Obviously, better individual performances on the side of INTZ, but Sharks have pretty much gotten onto that B bomb side as whenever they've liked. That's really the issue. You're not seeing them being punished for not necessarily taking any map control. Again, you've got Exit holding off 2 passageways really from INTZ on the A bomb side, and KNG is going to get aggressive. This is what they need. And this is the change up really in the setup as well from the CT side.
It has been B on tap to a degree, but this round it seems the barrel has ran out, and they're going to be looking towards the A side instead. They're going to be stacking 3 players over here. Still NAC residing around underpass.
Selling the fake, though. A couple of flashes was all it took to have 3 players coming off there, but still, Zand forward positioned in B apps, but, well, KNG continues his rotation over towards A, so Zand needs to get 2 to 3 kills here.
To jump across, but now they're going to be delayed in this push. How much damage can he do? The insta headshot, I think it was through the wall there, made him have a bit of aim punch.
Yeah, still low. Buys time for KNG to get into position. 2v4, actually make that a 1v4, and KNG just might as well take out the entirety of the team while he's at it. Brilliant work from the Brazilian Opera there, and really salvages that round. Starts off with an opening frag, gets back in time for the rotation over towards B again. And I think that was the entire ploy from the side of Sharks as well. The second they find KNG over on B, they're like, oh, well, we're not taking that duel. Goes over to fake A in hopes of finding a rotation, and they do so as well. It's just Zand's forward positioning up in B apps. Works as an early alarm clock to get INTZ aware of what's going on, and that puts them back to 14. Also a much better buy coming into this round. And now, I mean, if you're looking back at it, Sharks did have the potential to hunt. Could have potentially taken that op out of the hands of KNG at an earlier stage. Now it's come back to haunt you.
Both teams now, though, do have a healthy amount of weaponry and grenades, so it's well and truly game back on. Sharks, though, no. They're running out of lifelines. They're running out of time. Trying to submerge and strike.
Smoke has been put down for CPL. Again, mid-control just completely given up by INTZ. Sharks, for the better part of the half, haven't really done too much with it. We've seen 2 catwalk pushes. Leo leading the charge. That's been pretty successful. Outside of that, though, they haven't really found too much to do in there.
Oh, KNG's going to go looking. What a shot onto NAC that is. An angle you don't anticipate a player to be in purely off the basis of the jump. connects onto him, but Leo has returned the favor. RCF, bit of an off angle, gonna wait for that smoke to clear. Or maybe he'll just take the fight to CT boxes. Does Cello expect this? Yes, he does. KNG's gone in again. And Sharks are being hunted, harpooned, and exit. Has to try and make something happen in 10 seconds. He's made Cello vanish, but now he's gonna have to stick the bomb. Here comes KNG. Easy kill, easy round, 15-12.
That point certainly excites INTZ. They do get a little bit louder once more. Now, though, Sharks, they should still have enough money to buy up here. Got healthy reserves on most of the players. But yeah, the KNG shot, obviously this is from the previous round. The KNG shot onto Knack in mid there.
It's so sick.
He's just so quick.
The thing is, it's such a strange off angle that you very rarely see a player appear in. It's not Delpan, it's not the tight left corner or right, or even the
random
boost
jump
spot.
in, yeah.
It's a random shot. It's just a random jump that he's nailed instantly. His reaction speed is nuts.
And you have to imagine, like, where would INTZ be in this match if it hadn't been for KNG? He's sitting at 28 kills, if I'm not mistaken, at this stage. He's put on his backpack. And it's definitely working out for the CT side as it stands right now.
Hey, get that man a chiropractor. We need some work done after this map.
Let's see if it can hold all the way in to actually netting them a map win. Back into it we go. Actually, the buy is not as good as I would have expected. They've opted to get more utility in their hands with the MAC-10s instead of getting AKs on the board, and they might just go back to what was working so well for them for a fair stretch of time, that B push. Zand and Yell pretty much left to their own devices as it stands right now. KNG's posted up by stairs, so he's not going to be in a position to rotate over in time here if there's an execute over on B.
They are going to hit B. It's going to be delayed. Those MAC-10s and CZ will be going in first. Speaking of the CZ, it's Knack who is watching a potential flank, just being safe. INTZ pretty deep and passive in their CT positioning. No one is pushing forward. No one's looking for information. So I'm going to be jumping up and down as soon as he hears or sees anything. A smoke will be deployed. There's a flashbang. Here comes the smoke. And the engage will run its course. As will the bullets from RCF through the head of Yell. He's going to get a second onto Zand, and down goes KNG. Sharks may not be done just yet. Bomb's going to get planted. Cello and Destiny on low funds have a decision to make whether they want to go for this or not. With these smokes blocking them and playing separate angles, they decide that they're going to push forward, press in. But RCF continues to apply the pressure. He's got 3 this round. It's down to Destiny, and the headshot reigns supreme. INTZ going to take their choice of map 16-12.
It wasn't easy, though. Definitely wasn't. And, I mean, for further reference, I think they need to look back at this match. And also the first Mirage map they played and kind of have a redo of how they play that B defense. It got abused heavily in this one. And I think they can come themselves a little bit lucky to have KNG on form, really, to bring them back into this in a lot of ways. But still not over. We still have more maps to be played. And Nuke, Sharks map pick is coming up. So, I mean, for them to still have a fight in this and do as well as they did initially on Mirage, shouldn't be feeling too down on themselves.
Absolutely not. I mean, Sharks can look at it the way that it's okay. It's INTZ's map. KNG's just dropped 30-odd kills. Yeah. He's played absolutely god tier. There's not much more we could have done. We can hold our heads high there. There might be some disappointments and some moments that they are going to look back on, like not chasing down the AWP and dealing with it. But ultimately, they gave a pretty decent showing. Yeah.
And I mean, they stood with many chances of actually bringing this back. I mean, even the round that we end up closing out on very easily could have gone the way of Sharks, and it's not like there was this established economy on the side of the CTs either. That could have gone very back and forth easily. So I think there's everything to play for going into map 2. But INTZ obviously can breathe a sigh of relief with closing out their own map pick.
So next up it is Nuke. Yeah. And I don't know if it gets any easier for Sharks.
Oh, well, we'll see. I mean, they haven't done a poor job for themselves on Nuke historically. So I still think they're going to go into this with a confident feeling of being able to take it to the third.
All right, well, we're going to head back to the desk. Take it away, guys.